Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
We thank the Most High Yahuah for another set-apart Shabbat that we can come out and fellowship with each other. Just break bread, get in the Word, learn something to carry us not only through the rest of the day, but for the rest of the week and throughout the year. So at this time, we are going to go ahead and get started with our service. We're going to have our prayer after the blowing of the shofar by our Zartakan, Gabar Yahuah. So we're going to ask everyone to stand at this time. And we are going to face towards Jerusalem, which will be pointed ahead towards the east. And Rob Aloof, Yahusha is going to lead us in prayer after Zartakan blows the shofar for us. Has been teaching on Jacob's troubles, and we still want to kind of stay within the realm of things and just start looking at some things and seeing where we are and how things are unfolding right before our very presence and right before our eyes. So without any further ado, we're going to get into the Word. I'm going to ask our Zartakan if he would get Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. Ecclesiastes 1 and 9.
Ecclesiastes 1 verse 9. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun.
There's no new thing under the sun. So the topic or the title of our lesson for today would be, the thing that hath been shall be. The thing which hath been shall be. Now that's very important because that's letting us know we need to be able to look at the past to be able to determine the future and observe to see what's going to take place in these last days. So let's go over to Matthew or Yahuah 24 and 15.
Matthew Yahuah 24 and 15, or Matthew 24 verse 15. When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the set apart place, whoso readeth, let him understand.
Okay, he said, when you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand ye there in a set apart place. It said, whosoever readeth, let him understand. Okay, then let's go over to Luke, or Lucas, for you Greeks, 21 and 20. Because Luke is going to mention something similar. Luke 21 and 20.
The book of Luke, 21, verse 20. And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
Okay, then said, when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is now, or not. So you see Matthew talking about, or the book of Matthew, the abomination of desolation being spoken of. Also in Luke, he's making reference to the same thing, desolation. Now, let's go over and look at something in Daniel. Let's go Daniel 9 and 26. But you notice he said, flee where? To the mountains.
Daniel 9, verse 26. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined.
Okay, it said the end of what? The war. Desolations are what? Determined. In order for there to be war, there has to be what? You have to have what in order to go to war?
Conflict.
Conflict, but
Disagreement.
well, what do you need to resolve conflict? What did you say, Nicole?
War.
Okay, you need war, but mainly what? You got to have what? Who said army? You have to have armies, or an army. That's very important. Now, read that one more time, again.
Daniel 9, verse 26. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood. And unto the end of the war, desolations are determined.
Okay, that's very important. That's a whole lot going on in that one verse. It said after 62 weeks. Does anyone know what's the measurement of a score? Or the 20. 66 weeks. Total what? Okay, the answer what now? 62. 2 weeks. That's 62 weeks. So it says 2 weeks. What shall happen? Mashiyach shall be what?
Cut off.
Cut off. You ever notice this was speaking of Mashiyach way back then? Tell you what was going to take place in the future? 62 weeks, Mashiyach shall be cut off. And then it says what? And the people what? And the people what? Shall what?
Shall destroy the city.
Okay, then, so the people of the prince shall come and destroy the city and the sanctuary. Okay, then, let's go look at something. Let's go to Yahuah or John 14 and 30.
Yahuah or John 14 verse 30. Hereafter I will not talk much with you, For the prince of this world cometh, and have nothing in me.
So he said, what? You go ahead.
Let me read that again. Hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world cometh, and have nothing in me.
Stop right there. He said, hereafter I will not what?
Talk.
Who is speaking these words? Mashiyach. Why is he saying that? He's going to be what? He's going to be cut off. So, who is this prince of the world he's talking about? Okay, then Hashtan. Okay, then we're going to come back to that. So, when we know up in Daniel 9 and 26, it said 62 weeks. That's a total of how many weeks? Okay. Now, the first, when we're looking at prophecy, always know when you prophet, speaking of years or speaking of days, a year can equal what? Okay, a day can equal what? 1,000 years, or a day can equal what? 1 year. Okay, let's go over to Numbers 14 and 34.
Bamidbar, or Numbers 14, verse 34. After the number of the days in which ye search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year, shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and you shall know my breach of promise.
Okay, a day for what? A day for a year. Let's go over to Ezekiel 4 and 6.
Yekizikael, or Ezekiel 4 verse 6. And when you have accomplished them, lie again on your right side, and you shall bear the iniquity of the house of Yahuah or Judah 40 days. I have appointed you each day for a year.
I have what? Appointed you each day for a year. So when we go back and look at something, when we go back and look at Daniel, what is Daniel speaking of here? Something is to take place. Now, up in 9 and 26, it said what? Mashiyach will be cut off where? In the midst of the week, right? That's very important. So, if we go to Ezra, the 4th chapter, and read all the way over to the 7th chapter, something is going on. Is anyone familiar with the book of Ezra and what's going on at that time? Rebuilding of the temple. Not only the temple, but also what? Jerusalem. So when we look at that, does anybody know what's so important about the rebuilding of the temple at this time? What has taken prior to the rebuilding of the temple?
Is it the release from Babylon?
Say it again.
They're released from Babylon?
They're being released from Babylon. Does anyone know how many years they were captives in Babylon?
7.
Say it again. 70. 70 years they were in Babylon. And after 70 years in Babylon, they're being released and go back and build the temple, or the city, and the sanctuary, or the temple. 70 years is important. They're being released from Babylon. Now, anybody familiar with who was ruling at that time? I keep hearing all these syllables and stuff, but they the right answer to this?
King Cyrus.
Oh,
Cyrus.
Cyrus. Thank you very much. Now, what's the title of this lesson?
The thing which has been shall be.
which hath been shall be. Now, can anybody tell me what happened within this year, not this year, 2018? The Trump administration did something that was prophetically over in Jerusalem.
They went over and established the American Embassy over there.
They established the American embassy over there. What else did they do?
And they
So, y'all saying it, but say it. Made Jerusalem the capital. And did not they print or mint a corn in commemoration of it? Have anyone seen the corn? What's on the corn? They got what? They have a temple on there. They have Donald Trump on there. And also they have another figure on there. Cyrus. 70 years we were in Babylon. We were released 70 years after captivity. We were released. Jerusalem became a state, or Israel became a state when? 1948. 2018, how many years is that? 70. And who's on the corn? Cyrus. So go back and do one thing. What's the name of this title? The thing which has what? Been shall be. Y'all don't see how everything line up? That's why he said there's no new thing under the sun. That's why it's very important that we do what? Understand. Y'all hear me say this all the time. You have to understand and be able to observe the time that you're living in. You have to. There's no other way around it. That's the only way you're able to survive and sustain. You have to know where you are and what's going on around you. Okay. So it was in 457 BC. Well, Artaxerxes. Y'all know the Ezra story, right? Because that's a lot to be reading if we're going to go through all that. Over in Ezra, the 4th chapter. Remember they started building? Then the people around about started complaining, said they were being rebellious and all that. So what did Artaxerxes do? He stopped the building. He stopped them from building, right? Then by the time he get to the 7th chapter, what had he done? He sent out a decree, what? For them to what? Start building. And not only did he do that, did not he supply them with the resources they needed to do that building? Okay. So it was from that time all the way to 434. From 434 BC, from 457, when he gave the command, all the way to 4008 BC. Now we're looking at the time period here. If you subtract that, you will get what? 26 years. And that will be a negative 26 years. For what? 438 minus 48, you get a negative 26 years. But what's wrong with that? Think about what I just said. If you subtract 434 from 408 from 434, you get a negative 26 years. Is there anything such thing as a negative year? So you know that won't be right. So what does that give us? That places us all the way to 27 BC. Does anybody know what happened in 27 BC? Does anybody know what year it was when Mashiyach was reversed by Yahuah the Immerser? 27 BC. Now that's important because something takes place during the same year, or during that same time period, I should say, not that same year. So, let's go read a little. Let's go to Isaiah 53 and 8. Yeshayahu 53 and 8.
Yeshayahu or Isaiah 53 verse 8. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken.
Okay then. Read that one more time.
Isaiah 53 verse 8. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken.
So, who would Isaiah, who would Yeshayahu or Isaiah 53 be speaking of? It's Mashiyach. Easily Mashiyach. And even when those that want to try to discredit and say that's not talking about him, we automatically know that talks about him because the prophecies have to line up. So we had 62 and 2 weeks gave us what? 62. But the prophecy speaks of 69 weeks. So there are what? 7 weeks or 7 what? 7 years left. Okay, so Israel had up until the time that the decree was made, they were allotted 49 years to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. That's very important. Now, let's go over to Daniel, back to Daniel 9 and 6.
Daniel 9 verse 6. Neither have we hearkened unto your servants, the prophets, which spake in your name.
26.
No, we said 26.
Yes.
Daniel 9 verse 26. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with the flood. And unto the end of the war, desolations are determined.
Okay? And the people of the prince. Now let's go back to John or Yahuah 14 and 30.
Yahuah or John 14 verse 30. Hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world cometh, and have nothing in me.
For the prince of this world cometh, has what? Nothing in me. So we identified the prince of this world as being who? Hashatan. Hashatan is the prince, but it said the people of the prince. Hashatan is the prince. Let's go over to Revelation 12 and 9.
Revelation 12 verse 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, and Hashatan, or Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Okay, then, so the prince of this world, or the prince of the people, is Hashatan. Also identified as what? The dragon. Now, let's go over to... No, let's stay with 9. Yeah. Read that one again.
Revelation 12, verse 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Yeah, matter of fact, let's go back and start up at 1.
Revelation 12, verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads, and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Elohim and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place prepared of Elohim, that they should feed her 3, and they shall feed her there 1,260 days.
Okay, then. There's a lot in there. Okay, so there appeared in what? A great wonder in Shemayim of heaven. A what? Woman. Clothed with what? The sun and the moon, and under her feet what? The sun and the moon was where? Under her feet. And it said upon her head was what? 12 stars. What do the 12 stars represent? Okay then. Represent what now? 12 tribes of Yashra'al. Okay then. What do the moon and the sun represent? What do we use the sun and the moon for? What is
Times, dates, and seasons.
Say that again.
Times, dates, and seasons.
Time, dates, and seasons, or in other words, are what? Shabbats. But y'all do know the festivals are Shabbats too, right? So all of this is giving you a picture of the woman and who she is. Okay, then let's further identify. Let's go over to Jeremiah 6 and 2. Or Yahuah 6 and 2.
Yirmiyahu 6, verse 2, or Jeremiah 6, verse 2. I have likened the daughter of Zion.
The daughter of who?
The daughter of Zion. To a comely and delicate woman.
To a comely and delicate what? Woman. Likened, who did he say he likened? The daughter of Zion. So the daughter of Zion is who? A comely and delicate woman, and the daughter of Zion is Israel. Now, so as I can get Isaiah 51 and 16.
Yeshayahu or Isaiah 51, verse 16. And I have put my words in your mouth, and I have covered you in the shadow of mine hand, that I might plant the heavens, and lay the foundations of the earth, and say unto Zion, you are my people.
Say unto who? Zion, you are what? My people. That's possessive, isn't it? Zion, you are my people. So the woman is Zion, and the woman belongs to who? The Father, Yahuah. Okay then, let's go to Matthew the 2nd chapter. Matthew the 2nd chapter. Because when we look at Revelation Revelation 12:4, and it specifically speaks of something. Dr. Cannon, let me read that while you got what now?
Matthew, the second chapter.
Okay, Matthew the 2nd chapter. I'm going to read, you stay right there, I'm going to read 4 again. And his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman. The dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be what? Delivered, for to devour her child as soon as what? It was born. We're going to start at Yahuah, Matthew the 2nd chapter. Let's look at something. Verse 1 through 13.
Yahuah or Matthew 2 verse 1. Now Yahusha was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king.
In the days of who? Herod. The days of Herod the king. Herod was what? What king was Herod of? The Romans. Herod the king, king of the Romans. Go ahead.
Behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born king of the Yahudim? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and the scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Mashiyach should be born. And they said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, And thou Bethlehem in the land of Judah art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people, Israel.
So we're dealing with Herod right here, and we're dealing with who? Yashra'al. But we know we're dealing with Yashra'al, but we want to identify something because we see who the prince is, but also we have to see who the prince of the people are, or who the people of the prince are. So now we're identifying who? Who's the people of the prince?
Chief priest and scribe.
The Romans. So who is the prince?
Herod.
Hashatan. Hashatan is the prince. Who are the people of the prince? The Romans. Let's go to Matthew. Stay in that same chapter and go down to, matter of fact, keep reading down to 16.
Matthew 2 verse 7. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, and said, Go and search diligently for the young child. And when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. When they had heard the king, they departed. And lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented it unto him gifts, gold, and frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned of Elohim in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of Elohim appeared to Yahusha in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring you word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him.
Stop, right?